Hi, my name is Wambui and I'm back for the 8th time here at the lovely Purple Valley. And today I'm very excited to share with you an Ashtanga-based pregnancy yoga practice. I've used two resources. The first is Yoga Sadhana for Mothers, which highlights the modified primary series that's suitable for pregnant women who are going and experiencing a normal, healthy pregnancy. In the end, I do a short cooling breathing exercise called Sithali, that's to cool the body down. And I got that from Yoga Makaranda Part 2, which is one of Krishnamacharya's resources. So who can do the primary series pregnancy practice? It's recommended that you already have an existing Ashtanga yoga practice or feel comfortable doing yoga poses and are familiar with the practice. As always, please check with your doctor or healthcare provider before starting any movement program, just to make sure everything is progressing well and you feel healthy in your pregnancy. This is for primarily women who have some yoga background before, and it's not generally recommended that you start your practice while pregnant. Following this primary series practice, I also have a short second series practice, and this is definitely for experienced Ashtangi practitioners. And only to be done on the days when you feel you have extra energy and you're feeling up to it. It's not necessary to practice 6 times a week at the same intense level. And in fact, you might want to scale back 2 to 3 days a week when you feel you have the energy. And the remaining days you can take rest or do some gentle, more restorative type of yoga, or go for a swim, take a walk. Just please listen to your body always. Protect the health of yourself and your baby. Enjoy your pregnancy and be happy. Thank you. So I'm here with Karolina, and in this video we'll be having a discussion about the practice as it unfolds. So please do enjoy, and be sure to check us out on the Ashtanga Yoga Half Primary for Beginners video.
Wambui.
Yes, we are.
So here I am, Karolina, with the lovely Wambui Juguna. Is it the correct pronunciation of your
perfect.
last name?
Perfect.
So we were supposed to do a small interview about the Wambui's present or current pregnancy, but it did not really happen because I was too nervous. But here I am anyway, talking to you.
Having a discussion.
Yeah, so Wambui has... today we recorded this fantastic pregnancy yoga demonstration.
Yes.
So I don't know what you want to call it.
I'm calling it my Ashtanga-based pregnancy yoga, meaning I'm an Ashtanga practitioner first and foremost, and this is now my second pregnancy, so I've just sort of tailored the Ashtanga yoga practice to suit my individual needs as a pregnant yoga practitioner. So Ashtanga-based pregnancy yoga, we could call it.
Yeah. So would you say that all women could do this sequence, like pregnant women? Or is it more for Ashtanga practitioners?
What I did today, I would say it's mostly for experienced Ashtanga yoga practitioners, especially when we look at the second video that I go through part of the intermediate series. That's definitely for women who are comfortable and have had enough experience doing the intermediate series. But sun salutations, as you see, Surya Namaskara A and B, this is nice and can be done, I would say, by pretty much anyone.
So what do you have to think about in this asana when you're performing the sun salutations?
So what I think about here is, of course, reducing the effort needed when I go down into this chaturanga, the chatvari position. You saw I put my knees down on the floor. That makes it easier for me, and trying not to get too overheated. And it's good to start, instead of the feet together in samasthiti in the beginning, you can have the feet open to accommodate the big growing belly. So those are the things I think about, really breathing deeply and allowing the body to warm up gently and gradually here. So you see I step with the feet open rather than the feet together as is usually done. So and I also reduce the number of sun salutations. Instead of doing the typical 5 Surya Namaskara I'll do, I think I did 4 today. So, and on days when I'm feeling less energetic, I'll even reduce down to 3. That's enough really to generate enough heat.
So you were talking a little bit about reducing the heat in the body as well, but you are still doing the Ujjayi breathing.
Yes.
Ujjayi breathing is creating some heat.
Yes, but I don't do it to the maximum capacity. Try to keep it soft and just moving with gentler intentions.
And how far in your pregnancy are you at the moment?
Yes, so now I'm in week 30, so it's about, let's say, 7 months. I have about 2 more months to go before my expected due date.
And you've been practicing the whole time?
The first 3 months, the first trimester, I didn't practice. I was feeling very tired, and I didn't exactly have nausea, but I had the feeling of morning sickness. So I didn't have enough energy or feeling to practice. And I missed it, and so I was ready as soon as the second trimester started. I started back up with a gentle prenatal yoga, about once or twice a week. And then in about my 5th month or so, I started back up with my Ashtanga practice.
So when you read certain books that are discussing pregnancy and Ashtanga Yoga, it is said that during the first 3 months or the first trimester, you're not supposed to practice.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Yes, I mean, there's a very good book that I talked about in the introduction, Yoga Sadhana for Motherhood, written by Sharmila Desai and Anna Weiss. And I followed their guidelines for much of what they discussed there. I found useful, and this was one part they talked about. And generally, it's about the risk of miscarriage.
Yeah.
In the beginning, the body is, and now we start the Surya Namaskara B here, and I generally do between 1-2 rounds of this one. It's quite invigorating. So in general, you want to avoid any kind of really vigorous activity when your body is in that kind of volatile state. But I would say, I mean, many women do still practice, so it's an individual choice. But for me, I felt it was better just to hold off and wait.
Yeah. So perhaps you would like to explain a little bit this Surya Namaskara B. What do you think of here?
So basically, when I lunged forward or stepped forward, I put my the foot has to go more to the side rather than between the hands to make space for the belly. So that's the reason behind that.
When we were filming today, it felt almost like we could see the baby moving.
Really?
Some of the,
That's
some
nice.
of the movements, yeah. There.
Okay. Yeah, quite an active one.
Yeah. Tea is arriving. And also the same here, to widen the stance slightly, no?
Yes. Just so the belly can have space. And of course, I avoid jumping back or jumping forward, stepping very gently and slowly.
So you said this is your second pregnancy.
This is my second.
Yeah. So is there any difference?
Big difference, big difference.
In which way?
So, I don't know if I told you before, but I suffered from a miscarriage. The first time we were trying to conceive. So with my toddler Sesam, who's now going to be 3 next month, the first pregnancy, I took it very gently. I like to say, like, I treated my pregnancy and my body like an egg.
Yeah.
So I was really very gentle, and I practiced a much softer version of Ashtanga yoga than I'm doing now. For this one, I feel, it's funny, I feel even though my life is busier and, you know, I have an active home life, I feel like much more energy and much more feeling to kind of keep my Ashtanga yoga practice going in some way. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But this sort of practice to this degree of intensity that I did today, I can only do it maybe twice a week. And then I either take rest or I'll do some prenatal yoga, which is much more sort of passive and restorative in a way. And I'm planning when I go back home to Finland to go back to my prenatal yoga once a week, and then do the Ashtanga maybe further on down into my pregnancy, maybe just the sun salutations and standing poses. So it's very much a changing, organic thing that I like to approach it, not holding on to anything tightly.
So now we have come to the first standing posture, or second now?
Yes. Now we start the Padangusthasana and Padahastasana now that I'm in. And again, you might need to have the legs a bit wider to make space for the belly.
Moving on
to Teeter Trikonasana. I like to use a block here, just because if I get a little bit more height, I can feel a nice opening in the side body, which is really quite necessary, I find, when you're carrying all this extra weight, to think about what's happening in the obliques and the side of the body. So this has been helping a lot, getting that extra space.
So perhaps if you don't have a block at home, you could take some book or something.
Yeah,
instead.
take a book. And of course, if it suits your body to do the more traditional holds, then absolutely.
And would you say that some of the asanas you hold a little bit longer than 5 breaths? Or
Yes. Sometimes I lose count if it's feeling very releasing.
Yeah.
So 5 breaths, 6, 8. And now you see I opened in Teeter Trikonasana, which is not really recommended since it's a closed twist. What I did is I focused more on opening the upper back.
Yeah.
So it's not so much in my abdomen. So I opened the leg out, and then you see I'm using the block at the highest level. And that really helped a lot. So I open, and then so the twist is out of the belly and up in the upper back, which is an area that gets tight at this stage. And then you just have to check for balance sometimes. Transitioning in and out of poses, you lose a little balance. Now Uttita Parshvakonasana with again the block.
So would you be skipping some of the standing postures, or you can do everything? Or it's just mainly perhaps more what feels good?
I think we can, or at least I can. I feel like I don't need to skip any of them. I feel the standing, because with my first pregnancy, it was really Surya Namaskara, and standing was my main practice. So I really enjoyed, especially later on in the final months, the standing postures give a really good sense of grounding. Yeah. And if the joints are getting kind of loose with all the relaxin hormone surging through the body, it can be really nice to do these standing postures and then really think about using this Mula Bandha.
Yeah. Also, you use the bandhas.
I use Mula Bandha, not Uddiyana Bandha. No. And Mula Bandha helps again with this sense of being grounded, and if any balance issues arise with the changing body, then this Mula Bandha practice during the standing is very helpful. But when I return to Finland and I go back to the prenatal, I'll start to practice Mula Bandha in a different way, which is releasing it down, especially on the exhale breath.
So perhaps you could explain a little bit, because I don't know if everybody will know what we mean by Mula Bandha.
Yes, so Mula Bandha is basically, so bandhas are in Ashtanga Yoga are these muscular and energetic locks that are happening to increase strength and lightness in the body. So Mula Bandha happens right down in the pelvic floor area, you could say. And we try to basically engage and lift, if you think like for women in particular, to do Kegel exercises. So it's that lift up. And Uddiyana Bandha, of course, is happening in the lower abdomen. So for me, this one is fully out. But now I have to start to train the body to release down rather than to lift up.
How do you do that? With the help of?
With the help of the breath. So with the exhalation, I do the opposite of lifting up, Mula Bandha. It's basically releasing down.
Yeah.
So the opposite action, essentially. So it's kind of difficult, I would say, for many Ashtangi women to do this, because we spend so long lifting up. So then to exhale, down, out. It requires a little practice. And this is something that's sort of specifically taught in prenatal yoga and, of course, birth preparation. So I would like to focus on that a little bit. So here I am doing the wide-legged forward bends, Prasarita Padmasana, A through D.
And just to go back to Trikonasana.
Yes.
The second part, Parivrita Trikonasana. Also there you were trying to open up through the...
Exactly, through the chest, leaving all the twist out of the belly, but still really working to get the benefits for the opening in the upper body. This was something I noticed we focused a lot on in prenatal yoga. Opening up the shoulders and the upper back. And it also continues with the postnatal yoga, with the breastfeeding. The upper back gets a bit crunched forward, so anything that opens the shoulders and the upper back is very beneficial. So here I am in Padmasana, and I opened again the right leg, in this case out to the side, to make space for the belly. And I'll do the same for the left, again just always accommodating for this growing belly. And again, this is a nice one to do for those tight shoulders that pregnant women and mothers face. So now I go to the wall for some help with Uttita Hasta Padangushtasana, and you'll see that I'm not bending forward down, and I have my leg a little bit more on a diagonal rather than dead ahead in front of me. And I really find here, when I bend the leg and bring it in, it's a nice moment for the front hip to release the psoas muscle, which gets very tight during pregnancy. So I just bend up that leg rather than try to have it straight out in front of me. And for this one, Ardha Badha Padmasana, there's two options I did. The first is just grabbing hold of the arm as I'm doing and staying up. This is as it's shown in Sharmila and Anna's book.
Yeah.
And then if it feels possible, it's also quite nice still.
The belly is not in the way.
Oh, well, yeah, it is, but not too badly.
Yeah.
And again, try to avoid this forward bend if it just feels like there's too much pressure on the belly, and you want to avoid pushing deeply into the growing area.
So, talking about a little bit about your first pregnancy, did it take a long time for you to kind of, I don't want to say recover,
Right.
but go back to your normal state in your
Time.
Ashtanga practice? Did you manage to get back to it?
Yeah, I mean, you do.
Before you got pregnant the second time?
Yeah, you do. I mean, it's different. But yes, the body takes it. I mean, the way I looked at it, I really tried to look like long-term approach.
Yeah.
So I gave myself a lot of time to kind of heal and let the pelvic floor muscles heal. And I did, of course, some postnatal yoga. I think I started maybe 3 weeks after Sesam was born, just once a week, doing gentle, basically like exercises which close the body. So nothing like muscular pushing, but just really to heal and close the body. So I did that for 6 weeks, and then just very, very gently, very gradually. It takes time, but there's no rush. And often I find that when somehow Ashtangi women, when they come back, they somehow come back with a lot more, or they develop a lot more strength than they had previously. It's very interesting.
Physically and mentally?
Yes.
So now you're doing another variation.
This is a version of Utkatasana.
Yeah.
This is a moment to take a squat, which is nice to do. However, maybe around week 36 or week 34, I will stop with the squatting because that will start to induce labor. So you want to make sure to check with a prenatal yoga teacher how long to do squats for. But that's just a nice moment to kind of stretch the inner thighs and So I think after you've gone through such a long period of course, carrying the baby and then giving the birth and then recovering, once you start practicing, I felt I had a lot more awareness of that area of my body, and so really to like think back to the foundations of how to build this area up again. So it's a very interesting process. It's necessary to do the Kegels exercises, very necessary. So you just incorporate that slowly throughout your day when you're breastfeeding. You just start to keep going back now to the lifting. These are also nice moments to do some Mula Bandha work. Yes. And feel very grounded in the legs, lower body. And again, you see I'm putting the hands to the side rather than foot in between. And then to sit down, to come to the floor is very gentle. Just cross the legs and sit down easily. Now we start some seated asanas here.
Just to mention once again that this is kind of intense practice would be for many women in case you have never practiced Ashtanga before.
Yeah. No, I mean I did this for sort of with Ashtangi yogini practitioners in mind. So those who have an existing yoga practice and are familiar with the sequence and have some level of stamina.
And also here, just making sure that there is space for the belly, no?
Yes, exactly. So always putting the belly first, in a sense.
You cannot really do anything else.
Nope.
So it would be coming first.
That's true enough. So
the vinyasas,
yes.
Would you say that this is something that you should do? Or should is the wrong word. It's also creating a little bit of heat.
It is. And here, even kind of, it was quite early still here. So this Purvatanasana modification with the block, it's really a nice place to engage the inner thighs. And again, having that connection with the Mula Bandha. Yeah. This is a nice
Is that why you're using the block, to connect more?
It is, yes. So there's an opportunity just to really pay attention to that part of the body.
Yeah.
So the vinyasa, is it necessary to do? I mean, again, if you're getting overheated and tired, then no. However, if you are sort of familiar and comfortable and have, again, some endurance as a regular practitioner, then but as you'll see soon, I lighten up the vinyasas and I go between the right and the left side. I skip, so you'll see what I mean. So here I don't go back and I just go to the left side just to conserve the energy. And like I said, I mean, we were talking earlier and I said, like, for me the 5th and 6th month, the golden
about to mention that
stage of my pregnancy. So that's when I felt like I had the most energy, and the belly was not like making me as big and clumsy as I feel now. And here I did a modification, a very
that was very nice for the
light, very light one. So you could do that for the vinyasa if you need to lighten it up. So even in sort of at the peak of my pregnancy, you could say I was practicing like this maybe 2-3 times a week, not 6 for sure. So I would definitely take rest and just do a easier practice if I felt tired. So with pregnancy, I mean, what I'd like to show in this video is that it is possible to remain active, and you can have a fit pregnancy, and not everything has to drop away if you're having a normal, healthy pregnancy. But you do have to check your energy levels, and always do like what will serve you the best and give you energy for the day, rather than deplete you. This is important to keep in mind, so not trying to hold on to some state, previous state.
And here you were taking out the leg to the side?
Yes, exactly. Just again making space for the belly in Vistiriyang Mukhaika Pada Paschimottanasana.
So now Janushi's Asanas.
Yes.
Here you did some interesting variations.
Yes, I did. Based on sort of the intuition of my body and what it's been needing. So here is kind of the traditional forward bend. And then I also sometimes do this one, which is...
It looks very comfortable.
It feels so lovely on the right hip and lower back, making space again in that side part of the body, which gets quite crunched. So this one just kind of came through some research, investigation on what my body needs. And again, you have a little bit more flexibility in the body, but you could always just place the hand behind the lower back and not necessarily reach for the thigh. Just again to soften and do what is most suitable for you. So, Janu Shirshasana B, you could take the forward bend, but I find this is such a nice opportunity in the practice to work the side.
Yeah, we got some really nice photos from this asana.
Brings so much space and expansion.
And you also, of course, do not have to go for the ankle. You can...
Of course. And you can just have
you
can have the arm just hanging in the air. But I'm enjoying my last few days in Goa, where the
body is soft.
The body is soft. It's warm out.
36 degrees.
Yeah. Well, you can see why.
Yeah.
India is the birthplace of yoga. The body is responding so nicely to the heat here.
So you also mentioned the book by Sharmila and Anna.
Yes.
Do you have any other recommendations for mothers to be when it comes to literature?
Yeah, well, of course, Yoga Mala is the first one I went to. But I found that the information has since changed since Pattabhi Jois wrote it.
In which way?
Well, he talks in Yoga Mala that you should stop practicing after the 4th month of pregnancy. So this has shifted even in Mysore, where they recommend you take the first 3 months off, and then you can, if you have a already existing Ashtanga yoga practice, start back up from month 4 to So, but the Yoga Sadhana for Motherhood is a very useful resource for us women out there. And also part 2 of Yoga Makaranda, Krishnamacharya's book.
Really?
He has some information regarding pregnancy and postpartum. So I also used that, but that was more for the pranayama that I'll do later on. So those ones. And then just a little bit, of course, the prenatal work that I've done, that is informative, and talking with other yoga mums. But really I find that, the body is it's so intuitive, and you just really have a chance to be with your body in such a unique and special way during the pregnancy, that if you have an already existing yoga practice and you've been and you're an experienced practitioner, then in a sense the body informs what it needs. So just a sense of listening to your own body at the end of the day.
Like we always should do, of course.
Yes, true.
So Marichis?
Yeah, the Marichasana B we are at now. So I do it just, of course, with the foot on the floor, rather than into the groin. And as you see, the forward bending is very light.
Yeah, very gentle.
Yeah, so you don't really get too close to the floor right now. So that's not what this pose is about at this stage. And now coming into Marichasana C, I do an open twist. So I'm actually twisting onto the left side first, and that's going to be the open twist. And again, you can make this much softer. You can not bind the hands, or you can have a towel, whatever you need. Make this comfortable in your body, joyous in your body.
So twists are not recommended?
Closed twists are not recommended. Open twists are good.
Yeah,
again, working that upper back area that we talked about earlier. So anything that crushes and puts pressure on the belly, of course, is not beneficial. But open is good. Now Marichasana D, I do the foot in a medial, I think it's called, flexion. So, and this really gives a nice opportunity to ground myself in both sitting bones. Really nice sensation.
It looks very
comfortable. So and here, see, now I'm sitting down squarely. It took a few breaths. And here you can really hold up to 8-10 breaths.
Yes.
And really, truly relax down into the pelvis and hips.
So this one I was actually thinking that perhaps you will not be doing.
Yes,
The Navasana part.
Navasana is not recommended, but I wouldn't even really call this Navasana.
No.
This is really just a chance to work on Mula Bandha here. So this is not Navasana per se. But again, this it comes at a nice opportunity to connect up with that Mula Bandha. And again, since I still have some time in the pregnancy, it's nice to make that connection with Mula Bandha, since so much else is restricted. One nice thing I found about the pregnancy yoga is that because so many things are not available, the things that still are available, you can really go deep and explore and enjoy in a different way.
I think that is something that is very common also when you, for example, injure yourself, or there is some form of limitation that you actually, instead of focusing on the things you cannot do, that you can focus on what is available.
What's available.
And then you can really dive very deep into it.
Yes, and you kind of find new ways and approaches.
Yeah.
It's a good opportunity if you focus on the right things.
We should remember that always in everything in life.
Yeah.
So then you will skip some.
Yeah, Bhujapidasana of course is out. Kurmasana, Supta Kurmasana out. Garbhapindasana, Kukutasana, all that is out. But Bandha Konasana is wonderful to do and recommended. And I like to hold maybe 10, 15 breaths here.
But also no real forward, then just sitting up tall.
Yeah, at this stage now in my pregnancy, there's no place for me to go.
Then we go towards...
Now we go to Upavishta Konasana. So I take a narrower position with the legs here, and then my belly stops me from really going further. So just not putting any pressure. And then B, you can do one leg at a time. You could even just keep one leg down and then switch.
Yes.
This is in the Anna and Sharmila's book. Just this version, or just one leg at a time.
That's a good modification.
And then I think this is now coming, to Supta Angushtasana here. So again, using the same principles as when I was at the wall, I have the leg slightly more on a diagonal. And then I don't take the head up because that's engaging the abdomen too much. Uddiyana Bandha abdomen. So I just have the head down and then
So very often you have been hearing that female Ashtanga practitioners can find it can be more difficult for them to get pregnant. Do you think that there is some truth in that, or is it just because the practice is physically intense sometimes? So
yeah, that's an interesting question. I think when if you are conceiving or planning to conceive or trying to conceive, one should approach the practice a little bit more gently.
Yes.
And of course, if a woman is practicing to the point where the menstruation is not coming, then that looks like a sign that the practice is a bit strong.
Yeah.
So especially when you're trying to conceive, then the conception is the first thing rather than the practice. So then you need to practice for the conception or with the conception in mind.
So prior your pregnancies, did you change your practice?
For the first one, yes. For the second one, not so much. But I will say, I mean, having a busy family life and the travel that we do, I mean, now we move to the finishing.
Yes.
I just did this modification for the shoulder stand, just putting the block under my hips and then the legs up. And you can also do this up against the wall. That feels really good.
Yeah.
So the opportunity, with a busy teaching schedule and a busy family life, the opportunity for, full power practice, it doesn't happen on a day-to-day basis. So I'm doing, I'd say, the asana practice of a householder.
Yeah.
So maybe life has just taken care of the intensity of my practice. But I think if you're trying to conceive, then you need to put the energies towards conceiving.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, the preparation for the pregnancy and family life and all that follows. So now I skipped all the inversions.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a modified Urdhva Padmasana, but not really. So Halasana and Karnapidasana, all those, of course, are not possible to do now.
No.
And then this is the quote-unquote Pindasana version. I'm not really pulling in to squeeze the belly here, just accommodating. I take the block out and then I move into Matsyasana. Still feels nice to do. then to transition I roll over to the side and come up. So you don't want to jackknife your way up. Puts too much pressure on the abdomen. And there's much information about Shirshasana or inversions, to do or not to do. I have been very much enjoying to do Shirshasana this pregnancy. The first pregnancy, the only inversion I did was my legs up against the wall. It was Viparita Karani, which felt really great. But for this one, I've been enjoying to do it. So
perhaps not as long as Joanne Darby
was
doing it. Recommended.
I think about her, but no, not as long as what she was doing. That's amazing. She was Joanne Darby, one of Patabi Joyce's students from earlier days. She was doing up to an hour, which is impressive. If I can get 5 minutes, then I'm feeling like I've accomplished something.
You can read those really beautiful stories in Sharmila's
That's
book.
my favorite one. That's my favorite story. Yeah.
Some lovely pictures, some photos of Joanne and Darby and Guruji.
Yeah. So I think stories like that, I mean, we hear so much about what women shouldn't do or ought not to do during pregnancy, and it's kind of nice to see and hear what they can do. So this was also part of the reason for doing this project with you.
Yeah.
Is to show that, if all is well and you feel healthy and the pregnancy...
You can see how it's kicking.
Yeah, I see. Then why not to keep a practice going?
We have been having quite a few yoga practitioners or expecting mothers coming to Purple Valley, which is very nice.
That's nice. Yeah, it's a nice place to be. So here I just take a very wide-legged Balasana, making room. No, Purple Valley is like a sanctuary. So you could call it the baby moon.
Yeah.
It's like honeymoon, but for when you're pregnant, you have a baby moon.
So now we are going towards there.
Now we do Padmasana as recommended in Sharmila and Anna's book for the final breathing. And here I was really trying to just lengthen and extend my breath.
So this kind of breathing you cannot do too much of. Sitting and relaxing.
No, and if you don't have time for anything else, some sun salutations and then sitting and breathing, or even just sitting and breathing. This is good to do. I'd say this kind of asana is really good preparation for what happens after the birth with the new arrival. And now I've started with Sitali, which I mentioned was one of Krishnamacharya's recommendations, and this is a cooling one. So I roll the tongue and I inhale, and then I exhale down. I think I did about 5 rounds. So this cools the body.
So in case you cannot roll the tongue,
That's a very good question here, and here you can just inhale through kind of closed teeth, as I'm doing right now here. So you can do like that. So just lightly press the teeth together, very lightly, not adding tension in the jaw, but just enough that you can make a sort of a sound. And now, time to take rest. So it's recommended right about now, actually, in week 30, to lie on the side, the left side. And the idea is really make yourself as comfortable as possible, so it can feel nice to put a block or bolster underneath. And if you're earlier in your pregnancy, you can have a nice bolster under the knees and still be on your back, and that's okay. But it's really what feels comfortable for you. Now for me, the side is the position that I have to take. So, and then be sure to give yourself plenty of rest.
Yeah.
Some mornings when I come in, this has been my practice.
Fantastic. You know, you don't have
the
to
nicest ones with a blanket. A nice blanket over. The candles are there. It's beautiful.
Yeah. You don't have to be pregnant to have this practice.
No, you most certainly don't.
No.
But it's nice to come to the shala because then you're still in the energy. You hear the
fantastic energy,
the breath around you, and you're still part of the group.
So we have filmed a little bit more.
We have.
Except for this, because this is kind of the primary practice.
This is the primary practice, yes.
But you had a lot of energy today.
I did.
So we did a little bit of second series as well.
Yes. Oh, I should say this is the primary practice without the back bending. But anyway, I'll talk about some back bending options that you can do after the primary. So before the shoulder stand you could do. We'll go into further detail with that once you see. So here's an option for relaxation. If you have the equipment, you can kind of set up this nice bolster, and this is Supta Baddha Konasana. You can also just have the knees bent or touch the knees in. It's really whatever feels nice for your body. This one feels very soothing. So you can also rest here. And if you're in a colder climate, having a blanket over
Very nice.
feels fantastic. I did this a lot actually in the beginning months.
And it's also possible to put a little bit of support under your knees.
Yes,
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, you could put, if you have the blocks and stuff, you can bolsters. Really making this a restorative position.
And stay in it for a long time.
As long as you have time for.
So anything more there is coming?
Yes, and then you can also use it as a little meditation moment. You put the hands on the belly and you can connect with your baby.
Yeah.
And I was just sending this baby my unconditional love and appreciation, protection, this kind of thing. Just connecting.
So that's beautiful.
It's a blessing.
Yeah. So we will be looking forward to welcome you all four next year at Purple Valley in February.
Yes, the growing.
We have been following the growth of this family.
Yes, the growing little tribe.
Yes, the growing little tribe.
No, it's our pleasure to be back again.
Yeah.
1 month starts to seem shorter and
it has
shorter.
been fantastic to have you around for such a long time, and it would be very empty without you guys here.
Thank you. And now you see, I just supported myself with bringing my knees, using my hands, and then going to the side. And then I think here I just allowed enough time to sit.
Yeah.
And come out of these deep, gentle, restorative postures slowly and gradually.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karolina.